In conversation with Shameka R Pointer, Dr. Shameka R Pointer was born and raised in a small town called Town Creek, Alabama. She has a 21-year-old son named Amari. Dr. Pointer now resides in Atlanta, GA, in which she has been for 9 years. She holds a doctorate degree in Christian counseling psychology, in which she also has her own counseling project named Open Art Counseling Services International. She's also the pastor of Open Art International of Atlanta. Dr. Pointer is the author of 15 books, including a recent ebook, which is set to be released on the 22nd of February 2024. A goal in writing is to publish 1 to 2 books once a year until she leaves this earth. And on today's episode of Photo Interview, it's my utmost pleasure and joy to have on the show today Shameka R Pointer. How are you doing, Shameka?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very fine too. It's lovely to have you on the show today. Quite exciting. We're going to be having a conversation around your writing.
Yes. Thank you for having me on here.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. So, Shameka, could you tell us about your book, The Power of Embracing Grief, grief in a crisis? How does this
Mhm.
book come about? What inspired you to write The Power of Embracing Grief?
Okay. So what inspired me to write The Power of Embracing Grief was when my father passed about
Mm,
3 years ago, 4 years ago, my father passed. And just the history of our relationship as me growing up in foster care, him not being there and not having that father figure. There was a father figure in home, but it wasn't my father. So
mm,
just dealing with the fact that he had passed, and I felt like I was losing something. When I got out of high school, I went to get a relationship with him. But then he passed so suddenly after that. And just having that loss and really having to deal with knowing that I'm really grieving and knowing
mm,
how to grieve. I didn't really know how to grieve at the time. Because I learned that I had a lot of things that I was holding on to. But when he passed, it was like something hit me that I really had to deal with. Just
wow.
not only my grief, but the things that I had experienced without him as a father. So I always
Wow.
say you might be grieving, but when you lose someone, but it's just not the grief, but it's also things that was also connected to that person, whether it was like a negative aspect or a positive aspect. So that's what
Mm.
inspired me to write the book.
Wow. Well, I'm so sorry about that. Sorry to know about the other reason. But yeah, that's quite an amazing thing to eventually, write a book following your experience with that. That's key for sharing. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're
Now,
welcome.
for readers who haven't read the book yet and without giving much information away, could we have a sneak of what we'd expect in terms of themes picking up the power of embracing grief? And what sort of hope or message do you think this would communicate out to people out there who would eventually pick a copy to read?
I think as far as just expectation of getting it, it will actually give them hope of knowing that it's okay to grieve,
Mm,
and that your grieving process does not have a time limit. It does not have a time frame. There's no certain way you should do it.
mm,
But I do hint on positive aspects of grieving, not going the other way as far as alcohol and drugs, trying to settle what you feel, but actually really grieving and letting things out the right way. And so it actually give a person that hope that to know that it's okay for them to feel the way they feel.
mm,
And the only thing they have to do is kind of embrace it, not run from it, but accept
yeah.
it and just do what they need to do to get through the process of grieving so they can, so they can go ahead and live in their life the way they really want to.
Absolutely. That's amazing, really. That's amazing. I love your
Mm-hmm.
reason today. Thank you for sharing. Sounds quite,
You're welcome.
wonderful to me. And I also see that you have another book in the name of Before You Say, I Do. No games, no lies. Could you tell us briefly
Mm-hmm.
about the making of that as well?
Oh, just from my past bad experiences in relationships.
Oh,
Also almost getting married. the people, men saying, "Oh, you're my wife," and then it ends up all to be a game. And so it's just a book of wisdom to not only women but for men as well, to not fall in the trap of getting married and it's all a
Mm.
game. Their heart
Wow.
wasn't really wanting to marry you. They wanted to marry what you had, or they liked who you were, and but they really didn't love you for who you were, the
Wow.
original aspect of who you were. And so it's just a whole wisdom kind of knowledge book that shows you the different areas where men and women can actually get you crossed up and tied up, um,
Mm.
having your eyes open to the truth. So it just brings
Wow.
about truth and knowledge and wisdom on what to look for when you're actually wanting to marry and what not to fall for.
Wow, that's kind of amazing to know. Sounds like a book for to be husbands and wife. Sounds like a book for bachelors, say, like myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite
Right.
lovely, really. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for
You're
sharing. And
welcome.
the father even mentioned that it was actually still written based of your experience. Yeah, because I know that an experience they say is the best teacher, and sometimes being through something would have you to know more knowledge about a particular topic or subject. Yeah, so that's quite lovely. That's quite lovely to know. It's quite
Yes,
lovely to
yes,
know. And
yes.
now let's talk about criticism. As authors, we all have different ways of reacting to feedbacks and criticism of our works. And now I'm curious to know your opinion about criticism. How do you handle feedbacks, be it negative or positive reviews of your books? Would you like to talk about that?
I've never really had someone to criticize my books, but I would actually handle it as if, everyone has their opinion.
Yeah.
You can't take away what a person feels, how they see things, and so I wouldn't even get offended because everybody has a right to what they believe and how they feel about things. And
Yeah.
so if I ever was criticized about my books, I would not even, it wouldn't move me. Because I look at it like I've been criticized and judged so much in my past. It's nothing. Like there's nothing that I haven't went through that's going to allow a
Change it.
criticizing person to, hinder me from what I'm doing and how I'm doing things,
Yeah.
because I've realized everybody has their opinion.
Absolutely. Wow. That's quite amazing. I love your take on that. I love your
Yeah.
take on that. Now let's talk about the experiences alongside writing these books. Do you have any sort of challenges in the process of putting these books together? Talking about the first one and talking about the second one. And if there is any, could you share with us what challenge it is and how you ultimately overcame them?
Um, the main thing for me when writing is distractions. I'm like easily distracted because I'm that
Oh,
type of person. I'm very creative. And when I see something and my mind tells me to do this, I want to do something, or I'm interested in doing something, I want to jump over and start doing something else. And so distraction is a big thing for me as I write my books. But I
yeah.
also have to stay focused because I have a plan and a goal. My plan and a goal is to at least publish 2 books a year until I
Mm,
pass, until I, go to heaven. And so I definitely have to stay focused on that. And so that's what I focus on. I focus on my goal and the reason why I'm doing it. And that
mm,
kind of brings me back from all these other things because I feel like other things come to distract, but the main purpose and goal that I'm working on, that's what I should focus on. So
wow.
yeah.
That's quite great, really. That's quite amazing. I love your take on this. Love your take on
Mhm.
this. Sounds quite lovely to me. And now, apart from the books we've mentioned so far, do you have any of the works you've authored or say currently working on?
Right now, at the moment, I just actually started working on one last night.
Wow. Oh.
Yes. So it's going to be a cry for help. And it's called a cry for
Wow.
help, but it's going to be from the book of Psalms. It's going to give different scriptures on life difficulties, on
Mm,
how to handle life situations, whether it's marriage, finances, whatever your situation is. It's just going to give you biblical reference from Psalms on how to deal with it. So it's going to be like a devotional slash journal.
That's amazing. Kind of remind me of one of my titles, A Cry for Mercy. That's a mercy
Oh,
replaced with a
okay.
cry for help.
Yes, I cried for help. Yeah.
That's quite
And
lovely.
just this, yeah, just last week I was in that place of crying out for help. Not
Mm,
physically, but emotionally. And I needed
emotionally.
answers. I needed
Mm,
answers. And, I was like, I need, and the person that I needed to talk to is my spiritual leader. I couldn't get a hold of him. And so, I was at this place where I was just scrambling around, overwhelmed and just crying out for help, and nobody could really
mm,
help me. And
mm.
then when I turned and I started reading the Bible and talking to God, and that's how everything just came about. And so he gave me that book, A Cry for Help. So many
Wow.
people in this world are crying out for help. They need
Absolutely.
answers, they need comforting, they need encouraging. And so
Absolutely.
that's what I'm writing for, to help somebody else.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. It's very true because so many things are happening in secret. People need help, really. I think everybody actually needs help. Yeah. In one way or the
Yeah.
other. It may not be physical help, maybe emotional help, like you mentioned, financial help. I mean, supportive help, help with emotional balance, help with so many things, really. Yeah,
Yes.
depression and other things are quite real. So, yeah, people
Yes.
need help. We all need help.
Right.
Yeah, that's why we
Right.
say that we all need help. Yeah, that's quite
We
lovely
do.
to know, really. Yeah, I love the sound of that particularly. Thank you for sharing. Hopefully, when that is up, we'd love to have you back on the show to talk about it. That'll be fun, really.
Okay, great, great.
Yeah, thank you. Now,
You are.
Shameka, could you tell us what publishing is like for a published author like yourself? Are there any challenges you've encountered ever since it got published?
Yeah, and the publishing process is easy because I've been actually publishing my books. I published all my books except my first two books.
Mm,
But the publishing process is rather easy. But for me, the marketing and the sales is what the struggle is.
yeah,
The sales and knowing who your community is and who to reach out to and
yeah,
who really just wants to read what you have to say.
yeah,
That's the struggle for me. And so I'm still learning that even after writing 15 books, I'm still trying to find my community. I'm still trying to find out who wants to hear what Shameka has to say, basically,
mm,
because everybody don't want to hear what I have to say. And, that's fine because, like I said prior, everybody has their own lifestyle and how upbringing and what they believe and things of that nature.
yeah,
But just the
absolutely.
marketing and the community that I'm supposed to, speak to or reach out to is my difficulty.
That's great. That's amazing. I love your take on that, really. I love your
Yeah.
take on that. We all know that marketing is the actual work. That's where
Right.
the actual work lies in terms of publication. Yeah, and if you have a copy of any of your works there, I'd love you to show to the camera if you have copies there with you.
Okay. This one right here is the power of embracing grief.
Beautiful
And this
cover.
is what it looks
Imagine.
like. And that's the back of it.
Mm,
Okay. And you can find that one on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, online. It's like on all sites that's online.
yeah.
And then the other one is Before You Say I Do. This is No Games,
Yeah.
No Lies. The one everybody needs to get. But
Yeah.
so this is the one. This is the back of it. And this one is also on Amazon and Barnes and Noble as well.
That's
So, and I
great.
have other, but these are the one that we particularly talked about. So those are the one I want
Oh,
to show.
that's
Yeah,
amazing. Thank you for showing. It looks quite
you're
beautiful.
welcome.
Thank you. And before we
You're welcome.
wrap up for today, is there anything that you would love to share with the viewers about your books that we did not mention in this interview? And I'd love the viewers to know.
Just look at them, just try them out. If you know someone is seeking to get married or they're in a
Yeah.
relationship and they're looking to get married, before you say I do, No Games, No Lies would be the book that you want to just purchase it for them, get it for them. Okay, you don't want your
Yeah.
family or your friends getting into a bad relationship or a marriage and then you having to be that emotional support when you could have stopped them in the beginning. Okay, so
Mm,
we know warning comes before destruction. So be
mm,
that person that can see the outside of a relationship or a marriage and where is it heading.
Absolutely.
And then just, there's books out there to help. And so for that one, I would say, be an open eye to your family members and your friends, and share this book with them. And then the other one, The Power of Embracing Grief. If you know someone has lost someone, and it's just
Mm,
not about losing a life or losing a loved one as far as death, but if you know they have
mm,
lost a job or a career, they might have lost a limb or a leg or something.
mm,
Anything that they have lost, it causes grief. So if you know
mm,
anybody that's dealing with grief and they can't seem to get it together, they might be depressed. They can't work, they're not leaving the house, they're not eating.
mm.
I feel like this book, The Power of Embracing Grief, will definitely help them, and it will help them understand themselves better than somebody else
Absolutely.
understanding them. So this book is really about tapping into your inner being and being healed from the inside out, and just knowing that it's okay to hurt and
Mm.
grieve, but coming out of it knowing there's the other side that you can also
Wow.
be happy as well.
This is quite amazing. This is quite deep. This is quite profound and heavy to take in. Thank you. Thank you for
You're welcome.
mentioning. And now, just in case we have some viewers who are watching this and are writers and, looking forward to our advice on take on how to go about writing and publishing, what would you say for people in this category, the struggling writers?
I would say, whatever your, I guess, your niche is, whatever your, what's that thing that really, pushes you to want to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Do that. That's what you go off of. You go off whatever that thing that makes you happy, because everybody has something that they can bring to the world to make it a better place.
Yeah.
And some call it like, this is my gift. If you have a gift, use your gift. If you have a gift of help people. You have a gift of
Yeah.
writing, write. So whatever you're doing, even when you're writing, just
Mm,
understand that why you're doing it, because why you're doing it is going to be the push. It's not how you're doing it, but why. Because
mm,
most people start doing it and they kind of fall away, because they get discouraged or they get frustrated. But you got to understand, you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for other people, and somebody out there needs what you have to say. And you might not believe it at the time, or you might not see it, but somebody else needs what you're going to write in this book. And
mm.
so that should be your push. That should be your focus. So stay
Yeah.
focused, and know the right and the real reason on why you're writing and publishing books.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for mentioning. This is quite
You're
great.
welcome.
This is quite great. And I'm hoping that viewers would love to utilize it. And just so we have people who would love to get a copy of any of your books, on what platform are they available on for purchase?
Okay. They're available on Amazon.com, Lulu.com, and like I
Lulu.
said, Walmart.com,
Yeah.
BarnesandNobles.com. Like all of the book sites, they are
Wow.
online. So you can find them there.
That's great. And I left a link in the discussion part of this interview where interested viewers can get a copy of Shameka R Pointer's books directly on Amazon, and Barnes& and Nobles, and also another platform. So thank you so much, Shameka, for accepting
You're
the
welcome.
invitation to be featured on P English Literature. It's awesome having this conversation with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure as well. Quite lovely we can do this.
Yes.